Good afternoon, folks. It is your host, Joe Jimmy, back again for another episode of Black Chat Radio. We are found in the Black Independent Media channel exclusively. We want to thank you all for tuning in. And once again, folks, we want to apologize for the long departure. The host, your host, Joe Jimmy, has been very busy as of late, and I simply have not had the time to record another show. But anyway, we want to thank the viewers, listeners rather, who are listening, and we appreciate your patronage, etc. So, okay, folks, this week's show, we wanted to talk about, I guess, things internal to our community. Okay, when I say in our community, of course, I'm referring to the African American community. By doing that, that does not make anyone racist. I just want to focus on some of the issues facing our community and our people as a whole. But anyway, folks, I wanted to talk about internal problems that we have. I know that up until now, the show has been discussing external issues that we face and problems, etc. And those are, of course, all of those are relevant. All of those are relevant. The Trayvon Martin case, the Kenneth Chamberlain case. Folks, there's been some more cases that the news media has ignored once again of black folk being maimed and or killed and or defending themselves and for whatever reason being on the wrong side of the law. But once again, that'll be another show just because, as you know, and as I said back with the Trayvon Martin case, there's a plethora of cases that you do not hear about in the news just because those news outlets in those various cities throughout the United States refuse. It's a slight trick of hand how the program managers of these radio stations and television TV stations, they kind of keep it on the low. When I say on the low, meaning they keep it quiet. When you have cases where black folk, for example, are clearly in the right and there's no defensible position they can take when, for example, when police maim or kill an innocent black person or something along those lines. But anyway, there's so many of these cases that you don't hear about, and I will be getting back with you with those again because I have a list. And right now, some of those are in litigation, but I just want to let the audience know about that. But anyway, back to the subject at hand, folks. We're talking about issues internal to our community. Some of the things that we complain about amongst ourselves. You know, folks, now let us look overall at the picture of crime in our societies. The picture of juvenile delinquency, high school dropout rates. Folks, let me say this. I personally live in an area where the high school dropout rate is almost, it's greater than, it's almost 50%. Okay? Nearly 50% of, kids in the area where I live in do not graduate from high school. Okay? And folks, you couple that with the fact that there is almost the black business class is nearly non-existent. Okay, we know that there's very few black businesses that can say that they're actually hiring people, that they have enough revenue and income to keep employees, that they can sustain a workforce. But it's a 1-2 punch when you don't have any education, and number two, you don't have any businesses within our community to absorb people in that capacity. It is a disaster. Okay, because we all know that even those of us who are educated, who have the college degrees, who have work experience, the whole economic downturn that started back in 2008, we all know that black folks were the first to get fired, last to get hired. There's a study that was shown, and I have to go ahead and refer back to that, but I remember it per se, where it stated that white convicted felons, Caucasians convicted of felonies and other crimes, be it misdemeanors or what have you, still have a greater chance of landing a job over a black person with no criminal history. Okay, and folks, I invite you all, because I take it since you all are listening to Black Chat Radio on the Roku, that you are internet savvy. Go ahead and search. You can actually research that and from that article yourself, that study. But yes, convicted white felons and criminals or prior criminals are more apt at landing a job before blacks with no criminal history. Okay. That was done by I think a couple research think tanks. But anyway, I was really aghast that was the case. But folks, again, this is the truth and reality behind American society that's not talked about, and you certainly won't have a discussion about that on CNN or any of these news outlets, because as I said, the status quo would want you to believe that everything's hunky-dory and that we've gotten over race issues. We need to move on. Black folks need to move on. We hear that all the time. You need to move on, and oh, you're living in the past. Okay, fine. But anyway, we have in our communities massive dropout rates. You have in our communities people who, I believe, really should not be having children at all, folks. Okay? And like I said, this show is about issues we discuss amongst ourselves, black folk. But when you look at the incarceration rate of black men right now, because here's the thing, I know, we've talked about police brutality, we've talked about Trayvon Martin. Yeah, those are absolutely valid. But at the same time, within our communities, with our children, we are seeing these massive crime rates in our communities. We have situations where you can't even literally to go outside or to at a certain time at night. You really can't do that in certain areas. The drug problem, which we still can't manage to get rid of, is absorbing so many black males into the prison society, and it is a catastrophic tragedy that we're facing right now, because black men, I mean, literally are just the crime, black men and crime, and I hate to say that, but folks, I mean, it is at epidemic levels where we have just this culture of criminality. I think that also has to do with the hip hop culture, and folks, to be honest, Joe Jimmy, your host here, I've listened. I used to listen to rap music. I was a fan of it at some point, but the message was always negative and crime, and just not so much crime, but it was always about, just something negative, be it calling each other, racial slurs, the N-word, which I think we need to drop that in that music. But anyway, and always talking about hustling. I gotta get mine. I gotta do what I gotta do. I don't know. The music I got away from it, and I don't listen to it at all. I listen to it just maybe intermittently, very, very briefly, and I cut it off. But I mean, unfortunately, we're heading toward a place where black folk we're collapsing, so to speak. The culture and the people are collapsing. We are collapsing within ourselves. Okay. Back to what I was saying, as far as folks having children who should not be. Okay, you have, and here's the problem, y'all. This is with black folk. Okay, I assume the people who listen to this are probably middle class. Probably, likely. You're likely to be middle class, at least middle class, if you're listening to this show right now. Okay, so and given that, I'm assuming also that you've been raised with a certain, you have a certain moral aptitude rather. I'm sorry. You have a moral aptitude where you won't do certain things. Okay, you know right from wrong. You won't do this. You won't do this. You know the kind of people you need to avoid. You know the kind of people that you should have in your life and you don't have in your life. I'm assuming that. Okay, I'm pretty sure on that. However, with black folks, let me tell you right now, here in the United States, in that you can have, not even rich versus poor. You can have black folk from a middle class background and black folk from a poor background, and literally in talking to them and talking to them, asking about their values and how they view things and how they how they behave and everything else, you would think that they would be from two different countries. Okay, and that's just talking to folks and asking them about, okay, what do you think about this? How would you react in this situation? And how would you, just conversation. You're asking them about how they behave and how they do things and what they think about things, and talking to them. It's like two different countries that that they living in. You wouldn't even suspect that they both live in the United States. And that I think points to the problem. Not to even mention rich black folk versus poor black folk. That is an even greater anomaly in looking at the two groups. But folks, the poor among us, the poor black folk, okay, that right now I'm thinking they are the bulk of people who are having children right now. Black folk who are raising black children or having procreating and having children. That class of that group of black folk are the bulk of where our youth are coming from. And folks, the tragedy of it is that in the poor group of black folk, I don't want to use the word class because black folks, I say that because black people suffer from enough self-hatred as it is, and I don't want to use the word class because that's the last thing we need. Because you have another group of Negroes who really love, they love the class thing, and I don't know, it makes them feel good about themselves, and they look down at other folks and whatnot, and anyway, but I don't want to use the word class, so I'll just say group, okay? But the poor group of black folk, they are having the bulk of the children, and the problem with that is that the morality, the ideologies that they carry are poisonous. Okay, I would love for those of us in our poor communities to get access to this, because I'm looking at trying to expand the show on a broader level. Right now we're exclusive on the Black Independent Media channel, but we want to expand the Black Independent Media channel on a greater level, and we're working to do that right now. And the show, Black Chat Radio, we want to expand. But anyway, the poor community among us, when you talk about raising children and rearing children and the kind of morals, values, mindset, ideology that they have, it is poisonous. These, a lot of these group of black folk, the poor group, and this is direct experience from me literally talking to them and very briefly living around them, is that some of them, and folks, I'm not, look, we all about exposing truth here. I'm not, people talking about, oh, well, don't air our dirty laundry out. No. But this is a talk show, folks. We talk about the issues. We don't hide from the issues. I'm not hiding from a problem or not talking about it does not make it go away. Okay. But some of these black folk, like I said, they look at their children as means of getting public assistance, of getting welfare and food stamps and money so they can sit at home all day. They could care less about those kids and how they are raised. All they care about so long as little Jimmy or little Jamaica is out the house, so they can watch their stories or they can smoke their weed or whatever. I've seen this, folks. I'm not, no, I've seen it with my own two eyes, talking to them. I actually had to rescue somebody. When I rescue, I had to get out of that situation because it got so bad. But anyway, they're raising the children as a means of getting welfare, food stamps, etc., etc., etc. How the children, the environment the kids come up in, the people they hang around, they could care less. The father, the two-parent household amongst black folk is officially now, it is a rarity. It is an anomaly. As in 2012, two-parent black households are now strange, folks. It is strange to see two black parents, man and woman, walking around with their children. It is becoming rare. That is a tragedy, folks. I don't know what is going on. We are, as I said before, we are collapsing within ourselves. Poor black folk are having the bulk of the children, and they basically raising criminals. They are raising criminals who were nothing more than welfare pawns as they were coming up. The mothers would often be, lay down with drug dealers and everything else. And the drug dealer dude, hell, he's out the house the minute, the next night. He's not worried to give a damn about, if she's pregnant or not. And the woman herself does not care about if she's, again, this again points to the mindset and the ideology. As a grown woman, we all know that every time you lay down with a man, you can get pregnant. I don't care, that's the mindset that needs to be taken. Just I can get pregnant every time I lay down, regardless. I don't care, if you talk about, well, I know when I'll be ovulating, or I know, my time of the month, I know it. So, I know exactly when it'll happen. No, don't do that. No, because, yours truly has a family member who tried to play that game and she ended up getting pregnant. And she also came to me to help me or give me some money and give me, I'm like, that was a personal decision, that I hate that she made. But anyway, folks, the fact is that, in our community, the poor amongst our community, the decision making and who we have children with, the kind of person we have a child with, does not matter. Does not matter. Does not matter if he is, he's been to jail several times. He's no kind of job history, no kind of future, shady. This is the bulk of people who are black folks who are being born now. Just real, just people who should not be having children at all, And these are the people we having to deal with. As these children get older, we having to deal with them. Recently, I saw the issue where 6 or 7 black guys, ages range from 13 to 20. They went on a crime spree in the city. They robbed people. The police, it was in the news. It was in Texas, I believe in Dallas, Texas. But anyway, this group of Houston, Texas. I'm sorry, Houston, Texas. But anyway, this group of guys, they went on this crime spree, carjacking people and joyriding in the car. They just carjacked, and then they robbed more people with the new car they had. And these guys haven't even reached 21 years of age yet. Okay? Dangerous crimes where they pulled out guns on people. This is no joke, folks. And at the same, while we do talk about the police brutality, yes, we do talk about the criminal justice system. At the same time, look, folks, let's look at the numbers. We look at the numbers. We look at black folk and crime and violent crime. This is the problem. Okay? And the tragedy of it is that, the poor amongst us who are having the children, just bottom of the barrel, and we are being killed with this. We are being destroyed with this. We are being sacrificed by this. And I would say to black folk, the poor among us that, I would love to reach out to them, and talk to them. Because they are the ones having the children right now, and they are basically raising up criminals. Okay. That will end up being just over the next 10, 15, 20 years, as the Dr. Claude Anderson, y'all, and y'all need to check out his books, Black Label, White Wealth, Powernomics. But Dr. Claude Anderson, Claude Anderson, Dr. Claude Anderson, his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics. But he talks about this. And he says that within the next 20, 30 years, blacks will be a permanent underclass of criminals and beggars. Okay? And I totally believe that. And he said that not just on, the internal issues about crime or what have you, and internal social problems that we're having, but other external issues that I'll discuss on a future show. But, folks, a permanent, within the next 30 years, black folk. You look at the lack of black businesses. You look at these high school dropout rates that we're having. You look at the incarceration rate for black males and black females. Folks, that's exactly what will happen. We will be a permanent underclass of criminals and beggars. Okay? This is what will happen, and it starts at home. This has been talked about so many times, folks. We see the talk shows. We see all the public discussions about having children and raising children and keeping them around the right kind of people and keeping them away from the wrong kinds of people. We've talked about that, but yet it continues, and it's gotten worse. Okay? You have guys who are almost 30 years old in our community who have no job history. Okay? At 30 years of old, because I guess they say they got caught up in the dope game, they got arrested, they went to jail. The terrible 20s is what I call them, the terrible 20s. But during their terrible 20s, and you've heard them talk, oh man, I got caught up in the dope game, that sort of business. I got caught up in the dope game, and I was, so when they hit 30 years old, no job history. No job history, no background, no job background, no nothing. And these should be the most productive years of their lives. And yet there's nothing now. Probably other than prison time. I spent 2-3 years in jail, man, and I did this and that. Hey, man, I spent 6 years for this or 3 years for that. This is what's happening, on parole, probation, or they're in jail. Black males. This is what's happening, folks. We really need to reach out to our poor communities because they are having the children and they are raising criminals. Okay? This is what we need to talk about because, it's really looking very, very bleak for black folk. Our future is looking very, very bleak. Okay? And I said it. And look, just black folk in your neighborhoods, your communities, just look around. Okay? I don't need to tell you that. I'm sure those of you listening, just look around yourself. Okay? See where we headed. But we should be in an emergency mode to try to stop this, or at least stem this, the progression of this, because it's like a disease that's really, really out of control, and it's killing us. Okay. So anyway, folks, chime in with your comments at our webpage, blackchatradio.blogspot.com. Sorry about that, I almost forgot. Yeah, blackchatradio.blogspot.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. We now are accepting anonymous comments. Of course, they will be filtered, but we want to hear from you folks within our community. The children, the poor community. What are your some of your solutions and remedies? Because, folks, we are in a dire situation. And as I said before, in the next 30 years, we are facing a very bleak future. A future where, I don't know. I guess the majority of us, like I said, a permanent underclass of criminals and beggars. That's where we are heading, black folk. Every other racial group is on the up and up. You know, Hispanics, all the other groups are on the up and up. Only black folk are going down. Okay? And that's not just in the United States either, folks. That's the worldwide. Everybody else is coming up, going up. You see Latin America, Central America, South America, Brazil. They're trying to, they're making slow inroads, but only black folk are truly going down. Okay? So, folks, that being said, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, blackchatradio.blogspot.com. That's blackchatradio.blogspot.com. We want to hear from you with your comments, what you have to say, with your thoughts on our internal issues with the children and the family. Okay? So anyway, folks, that is a conclusion of this week's show. I am your host, Joe Jimmy on Black Chat Radio. Once again, please tune in. Check us out on the Roku Black Independent Media channel. Leave your comments on our website, and you all have a great day.